All right, quick recap. So Marvin Vettori is going to fight Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker pulls out of that fight. Now, Vettori is already set. By the way, it happens to be a co-main event of a pay-per-view. Very good placement. Somebody's going to want that. Marvin Vettori, more than anything, wants to preserve his placement on the card that he's focused and preparing for. Great. So he makes a suggestion. He gets ahead of the story. It's Marvin himself that reveals to us the Whittaker's out. Not Team Whittaker, not even the UFC. It was Marvin. Now, Marvin did that as a way of letting everybody else know there's an open position. It happens to be against me. You have 6 weeks. That's enough time. Let's figure it out. In exchange, you're going to be in a co-main event spot against the top guy. Great. Marvin went one step further. He inserted Darren Till's name. Now, I personally like that match. I like the idea of Darren Till getting great exposure while only going 15 minutes. That's personal. I don't have a dog in this race, but I sit back and I put myself in somebody else's shoes and what would I want, what would be the best. I try to offer a suggestion. I like that, but I haven't heard that Till jumped on it. In the meantime, whether Till's considering it or not, Paulo Costa accepts it, says, I'm in. Now, 2 days go by, Marvin Vettori speaks up and says, you are absolutely not. You screwed me last time. He's talking about the weight change. He said, I beat you. That's done. I will not be giving you that opportunity. Now, set all of that aside because it actually isn't my point. I have told you everything that has happened in the course of a week with the potential opponent of Marvin Vettori. I have left absolutely nothing out. Nothing. Which brings me to the bigger problem. How do we not have a barrage of 85-pounders pleading and pining and begging for that spot? What part about it, and I get it, we are in the fake tough guy business. I'm having to accept this. I do not suggest for you the guys back when I started are better than the guys today. I get it. Sport goes forward. These guys are more technical. These guys are better. I get it. They sure as hell aren't tougher. My goodness, we used to beg for matches. They were so hard to come by. And even if you wanted to break on to the big show, UFC in this specific case, there was 6 events a year. Of those 6 events, 5 got televised. So if you're fighting and competing for a televised spot, I'm telling you, the rest of us that are fighting at the YMCA and the dog park trying to get the exposure to get the contract to get into the UFC, we were begging for these opportunities. So when you have these fake tough guys that are banging their chest and they're saying, give me this opportunity, I deserve this, there's a spot waiting for you. What part about this are you scared of? It's 3 rounds. So to start with that, if you think you're a championship guy, that's almost a night off. If you think you're a main eventer or a future world champion, 15 minutes in comparison to 25 is almost a night off, right? You have 6 weeks, so it's not short notice. Now, you've only got one job, which is to show up 3 times a year. So maybe this isn't perfectly convenient, but you live in a pretty convenient space in the first place where you should always be ready, always within striking distance of weight. You should always be licensed in the major jurisdictions or at least have your paperwork ready. And your training should always be on point. I get it that none of those 3 things are true. So it must be Marvin. It's the only thing left. 6 weeks is not short notice. 15 minutes is not a big ask in this space if you believe that you're a world champion or going to be. It must be Marvin. You must see something within Marvin that you don't want to face. What is it? Marvin's really good. Marvin is a big problem for anybody. Marvin was a 15-minute pain in the ass for Adesanya. I understand that. But what is it specifically that Marvin does that you don't think that you can overcome? Does he wrestle in a way that you haven't seen before? Does he kick with a power that you're not used to? Does he box different? Like, what specifically is it about Marvin where you think you're going to get a better deal? And I know that none of you 85-pounders are going to put it on Marvin. You're going to put it on something different. You're going to put it on the 6-week notice, but you're not going to sell that idea because 6 weeks is a lot of time. By the way, you can make weight, you can get in shape. By the way, it's 15 minutes. Have I mentioned that yet? I'm assuming it's a co-main event spot. I keep saying it's a co-main event spot, but I assume that it is. Like Whittaker versus Vettori is a pretty big fight. So it's a huge opportunity. It's on a pay-per-view. You're right underneath Glover Teixeira. You got a travel opportunity. I mean, the sons of bitches are going somewhere else to do the fight. I can't think of where it is. It's like Singapore or something along these lines. So what about? What is it? What would your excuse possibly be? And if any of you are sitting there go, well, they haven't offered me the fight, and if they would, well, by God, why don't you take to Twitter and why don't you try to get yourself the fight? Why don't you try to get yourself the opportunity? Whatever's going to happen next for you 85 pounders, and this goes to all of you. You all are just, you're interchangeable mediocrities. I could not possibly be less interested in any of you because of this. Because of things like this where you don't step up to the plate. You'll do an interview later and talk about you're going to be the champion of the world. You think that you should be ranked higher. You think that you should be paid more. You for sure will do that. You have an opportunity right now. It's in 6 weeks, take on a former #1 contender. It's in the co-main event spot of a pay-per-view only underneath Glover Teixeira. What is it that you think is next for you, or what is it that you even hope or plan is next for you that's bigger than what I just explained? And you're not going to have an answer. None of you are being offered anything that's greater than a co-main event spot. None of you are offered anything that's only under the 205 champion on a pay-per-view, and none of you are being offered anything equal to taking on a former #1 contender. So it's just a reality. Let's just stop. We're all good. A guy like me's got nothing to come and yell at you mediocrities about. We all know where we are. We all know who we are. But 3 weeks from now, let's make sure that we keep that same energy. Let's not come out and talk about I should be getting paid more. No, you shouldn't. You apparently should be getting paid less. Not say I should be getting bigger opportunities. No, apparently you should be getting a less of an opportunity. I should be featured. I should be promoted. I should be more prominent. No, you should be none of those things. You've had 5 days to speak up, and not one of you has made a sound.